Sieren, mevrouw. Dear friends of the Prince Albert Fund, dear new laureates. On behalf of the new Prince Albert Fund Board of Directors, thank you for the opportunity to share some thoughts on the next 15 years of the Fund's life. Today marks the celebration of 30 successful years of the first iteration of the Fund. We will call it PAF 1.0. Today also marks the start of a new chapter of the Fund's remarkable history. We will call it PAF 2.0. Let me give you a brief recap of PAF 1.0, then share why we felt the time was right to move to PAF 2.0, share with you what will change and what will not change, share our dream for success for 2030, and last but not least, share with you how you can all help. Because without your ongoing commitment and support, we will not be able to repeat the success. Please walk with me back in time for a moment. In 1984, which for some millennials in this room seems to be when the animals were still talking, but it was only 30 years ago, two enlightened men sitting here, realized that Belgium would be impacted by globalization in more ways than one. These two men were Baron Daniel Janssen from Solvay, then also chairman of the VWFB, and Count Michel Didisheim, then managing director of the King Baudouin Foundation. To help prepare for those globalization days with a truly long-term perspective and with limited concern for immediate ROI, they established at the occasion of the Prince's 50th birthday a special fund in his name within the King Baudouin Foundation. The fund not only honored Prince Albert's incessant support to that day on behalf of Belgian export companies, work that carried on elegantly for many, many more years. The recent export mission to Qatar, led by Princess Astrid, with more than 450 people, the largest mission ever, is testimony to the vibrancy and relevance of that effort to all actors of the evolving Belgian economic and political landscape. But the fund was designed specifically to create over time a new cadre of Belgian business talent. Talent that will be better prepared to tackle the ambiguity of the globalized world. Just to be clear, in 1984, this was a very revolutionary concept. It was not very customary for young talent below 30 to venture abroad for Belgian companies. The world was still a very scary place, and far away was far away. Sending people outside a then very much smaller Western Europe, pre-Berlin Wall, was a really expensive and very risky move. No internet or smartphones, no email, no Skype, no WhatsApp, no Snapchat, no FaceTime. But we, ladies and gentlemen, we had a unique thing. We had a fax. Companies typically send out only their most trusted and experienced members. But this new Prince Albert Fund that was founded, it challenged that prevailing expat HR notion and said, and we do it in a fundamental way, it bet on youth. That was, on its own humble scale, if you allow me the analogy, as disruptive at this time in terms of HR notions as Uber or Airbnb are considered disruptors in the taxi or hotel business today. Maybe it was no coincidence that in that same year, Steve Jobs introduced the revolutionary Apple. But ladies and gentlemen, that was 1984. Fast forward to 2014, you saw the video, you saw PAF Track's record, 362 candidates, 175 companies, 40 countries. Results like this happen because men and women of vision and steady commitment over years make it happen on all levels, from the board to all the administrative support. Many of those have served for years. Julien de Wilde presided over the PAF board for the last 8 years. Bedankt Julien voor onze discussies et pour ta confiance pour le nouveau comité de gestion. Bedankt ook Vera. For many generations of candidates, Vera Billen is a household name. Sire, merci, dank u wel for being with us here again at the fund that carries your name, and to witness this moment with all of us. Can I please have a phenomenal applause for PAF 1.0? 1.0 world. Why a PAF 2.0? As always for any brand, the answer lies in designing for the changing needs of the consumer and company of tomorrow. A typical candidate is 25 to 27 years old at the time they get chosen. That means, as of now, typically people born after 1990. These are the last of the millennials and the first of the so-called Generation Z. They all grew up in a very different world than many of us in this room. And there have been many shifts over the last years in the companies that hosted laureates. Some of our big companies of the past, they got bigger, they got sold, or they got consolidated. Small companies at that time have grown up to be giants now. And luckily, we have many new emerging ones, fueled by a fast-growing entrepreneurial ecosystem in Belgium. These are the champions of tomorrow, and they need to scale globally faster than ever to be competitive. They need talent. It was time, so we concluded last year, not for revolution, but for evolution. There was lots of detailed work done in working groups, but here is what PAF 2.0 is all about in a nutshell. First, we will not change the reason of existence of the fund. It's why. The mission remains unchanged. We feel it is more relevant than ever. Second, we will evolve and optimize and refresh the how, from the selection all the way to the experience and the reintegration as an alum. Third, last but not least, there will be a big change in the who. The ambition, our collective ambition, is to double the PAF impact over the next 15 years. That concretely means sending out about as many candidates over the next 15 years as we have sent out over the last 30 years. Our goal is to be able to award 350 of such laureates by 2030 without any compromises on quality. Rest assured, getting a PAF fellowship will remain the same tough challenge for any prospective candidate as it is today. So why is a PAF fellowship worth fighting for? And why would a Belgian company want to host one? For candidates, in essence, as you've heard and seen, they get a life-changing personal leadership development opportunity, second to none. An experience like that will color the course of their entire professional and private life. The traineeship will teach them many technical skills, but that's just the start. A PAF training is about acquiring core leadership competencies that will be with you forever. Problem-solving skills, analytical skills, communication skills, intercultural management skills, and last but not least, what leadership is really all about. Getting results, and how to deliver results in a very ambiguous and uncertain globalized world. There is that kicker that makes the Prince Albert Fund so unique versus anything else you can get. Since 30 years, its secret sauce. No other fellowship offers the same today. As a candidate, you become the master of your own destiny. It is your decision what company you bet on and how you negotiate your PAF scholarship with. So what do the host companies get? Assuming they can convince the candidate to, and there's a match. They win in the ever bigger war for internationally oriented talent. They win very carefully pre-selected high potentials with a high probability to deliver results, possibly over a long time. Some of the people have stayed at their company forever. Yes, it remains a bet, but as people know by now, it is a very cost-efficient bet with very good odds. Now, no bigger ambition is really possible without the commensurate means. The new board worked out multiple financing scenarios, and one key component of our final plan, which we shared and was approved, includes a fundraising drive to strengthen the base PAF endowment set up 30 years ago. So this is the first fundraising drive we do in 30 years. Specifically, we aim to raise 2.5 million euros by mid-2016 to bolster the existing PAF endowment. We break this down, if you think about it, as the equivalent of 100 fellowships of 25,000 euros. Yes, they've been increased a little bit. The dollar is more expensive. Nearly 10 of those 100 fellowships are already in. We have about 90 to go. We are rolling up our sleeves to confidently make this happen. We trust you will take our call and that you will contribute to this worthy cause. In conclusion, Aldous Huxley wrote that famous book called Brave New World in 1932. One of his memorable phrases was, "Experience is not what happens to you, but what you do with what happens to you." Let's put our collective experience to work. By 2030, PAF 2.0's dream is to have awarded 350 young men and women who will have helped many new, young and established Belgian companies to conquer the brave new world ahead of us. Thank you very much.